What is up, guys? My name is Greg and I'm a digital artist. Today we're talking about the darkest art cards in Magic the Gathering. This topic was brought up to me by the YouTube user Sebastian. Now, Sebastian, I'm not going to talk about dark cards in terms of saturation and color, but I want to talk about dark cards in terms of theme and horror. But I promise you I will address saturation and color. First card I'm talking about today is a Kithkin. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the Kithkin archetype, Kithkins are these small, buggy little creatures, human or elf-like, that consistently haunt me. You know, Kithkins were originally called hobbits, but to prevent any sort of issues with the estate of J.R.R. Tolkien, the author for The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, they decided to change it to Kithkin, which in English words, kith meaning friends and kin meaning family, so friends and family. And I assure you, these are neither. This particular Kithkin came to me in a YouTube comment. This is for you, sadly temporary. The Kithkin we are talking about today is Mist Widow Skulk. Now, Mist Widow has only seen 2 printings, but you can understand why. Take a look at this guy's eyes. They are completely white or yellow. He's using this scythe to make his way through the tall grass, which is probably just regular sized grass, let's be real. And he finds himself fixated on the player staring at him. This gives me Children of the Corn vibes. Not that he's going to actively attack me, but he's just going to slowly keep making his way towards me. I don't know what I think is worse. What I want to know is how he got such a miniature scythe. Doyo suspected the Bogarts of brewing a plot against his crop, so he scythed away his grain to clear the sight lines. He doesn't want you to touch his crop, but he will destroy it so that he can see you. An excellent card suggestion, and I really appreciate it. Let's make our way to the next card. So as we make our way into fall, obviously we're going to talk about more creepy and spooky cards. But this one makes me think Halloween. This card has been printed twice, going all the way back to the 5th edition. This is Greater Werewolf. Now, Greater Werewolf is extremely dark in its art. Pitch black background, we have one glowing moon, and then this person's face which is just morphing into this werewolf. Frankly, I can't tell if he's more werewolf or man. What I can't stand about this art is that you get both mouths at the same time. So 2 sets of teeth coming out of these guys. I think that's the eeriest part. Are the mouths going to join in order to form one entire creature, or does one mouth's worth of teeth just disappear? Regardless, it looks like the person's in quite a bit of pain while he's turning into this werewolf. I love the flesh tones going into sort of a darker brown into the werewolf, but I hate how deadpan the werewolf looks in staring up at the sky. Let's move on to our next card. Now, I remember coming across this card as a common in Innistrad. I was a teenager just learning how to draft cards, and this art stood out to me like no other card that I had ever seen. This card has only been printed twice, in Innistrad and in M14. This is Sensory Deprivation. Now tell me that isn't terrifying. You have your eyes and mouth completely sewn shut, making an effort to try and open your mouth while your stitches just pull your mouth back shut or eventually rip your mouth open. They call it Stitcher's Anesthesia, a spell to deaden the senses while the mad doctors begin their grisly work. So they just sew their mouth and eyes shut as a means for them to not actively see or express the pain that they're feeling. There's no way you can't tell me that's one of the darkest cards in Magic. So these doctors are just going to operate on this person, and they're probably fine because they can't express anything and they can't see anything either. My lord, that's terrifying. Let's move on to our next card. This next card has only ever seen 1 printing in Return to Ravnica. I really love this card art. There's beautiful reds and pinks in it, while it still remains completely terrifying. This card is Slaughter Games. So imagine this. You're just laying on a table, minding your own business, perhaps having a nap. And all of a sudden, these masked creatures with Ninja Turtle weapons, meat cleavers, and hooks all of a sudden decide to peek over you and perhaps cut you open? I don't really know the intended purpose of this, but the fact that it's called a game makes me feel like these people are trying to hunt you. The ultimate hunt is hunting man. I think the one thing that really bugs me out about this card is this gentleman in the like cat mask. Like it's both cute and haunting at the same time. But if you look at that little goblin over his shoulder, he's just like, I'm here for a good time. And I feel like this goblin over his shoulder was just like the +1 to the party where he's like, I brought my meat hook. Perhaps this is indeed the meat hook massacre. Our next card came from a YouTube suggestion as well. This came from Tropy Caleb. I think you should cover Abomination from the Legends set. Well, you know what, Caleb? I will. Abomination has seen 2 printings, one of which goes all the way back to 1994's Legends. And I wonder why, because this is horrible. Look at this dude's face. It's just like melting. He is the Abomination. He's got skin flaps on skin flaps. He just looks like a big wad of chewed up gum. Like somebody finished up their big league chew and just like dropped it on the sidewalk and gave it teeth and eyes. Now, I don't think the art's bad. I just think it's terrifying. The big thing is that he's the same color as the background as well. So we get this exact same sort of shade of like reddy pink. And it makes me feel like it's like just his head and the rest of his body is just like this big pink orb. Just got like a massive
bubblegum butt.
And he's smiling like it's picture day. Mom's gonna like this one. Final card of the day is one that consistently haunts me. I own a couple of copies of this, but I don't love looking at it. Not because the art's bad, but because the art is really graphic to the point where it makes me kind of uncomfortable to look at. But of course, I'm gonna make you look at it. This card is unfortunately the card of the day. Card of the day. This card has seen 2 set printings, but what I'm going to talk about today is actually the secret layer printing of this card. The card is Brain Maggot. Now, the original art is still terrifying. We have this ear with this maggot sitting inside of it, looking almost like a hearing aid, taking up sort of the entire space of the ear while there's like blood and I don't know, maggot juices building up on the inside of the ear. But the secret layer art is where it gets even more graphic. In this, we no longer see the brain maggot just sitting in the ear. We actively see it making its way outside of the head of the person that it's inside of. So we see this glowing, almost purpley, greenish, red worm making its way out of this person's ear, leaving a trail of blood and guts and whatever else is coming out of that ear as a result of having a massive, massive maggot making its way out. This maggot has like juices falling down its face. It seems to have like multiple eyes on the sides of it. I really love the colors of it. Like they've done a really great job of showing its ability to sort of like reflect the light in the space that it's been drawn in. But I think the fact that this ear looks like stretched out in order to get this maggot to come out of it just makes me uncomfortable. Dark reds really make it look like blood, but the blacks and grays giving the texture of hair on the person that this maggot's coming out of really does make it feel realistic. And with all that said, thank you guys for watching. I hope these cards haunt you as well. If you have any suggestions on topics or cards that I should be talking about on my channel, be sure to comment below. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll catch you soon.